It's good to see you. Isn't it lovely that they got us this private room in the back of a tea house? Oh yes, fairies often frequent tea houses. If you see a little old lady with a gleam in her eye, she may in fact be a fairy, actually. So we are now, you did actually find your way back to your dimension, but you have arrived in modern day Korea instead of in your intended place. So I suspect something has gone awry. Oh, I see. I see. A zombie apocalypse, you don't say? Wow. Well, I'm glad that you made it back to your own dimension. So, I got the distress call from my doppelganger in that dimension, and that's how come I kind of helped to try to funnel you back here. I don't usually arrive in the human world, but here I am. I'll leave after we have tea. But I brought the crystal ball, of course, because why not go over some herbal studies, right? Now, of course, in the secret place where we have met, you and I have never met in real life, so any medical advice that you receive from me here is only self-care, not actual medical advice, because you and I have never met. Understood? Of course. But I would be remiss if we didn't spend some time on herbals together, especially because it looks like you had as much of an interesting night as I did. My hair is a disaster from fairy parties. I don't know if you're familiar with the legend of Peter Pan, but if you read any of that, of course, you know we, with fairies have a tendency to party. And our balls are just lovely. all the kinds of balls. We are a very ball-friendly species of humanoid. Shall we begin? This is a tea from Hawaii. Oh, don't worry your little head. Don't worry your little head, it's alright. I didn't have to work very hard to get it. There are so many fairies in Hawaii, and so some of my contacts sent this to me. Isn't it lovely? It's got this beautiful little green plant. This is the Noni fruit. Noni juice is widely prized, and many people think that it has, health benefits beyond the normal. People online in your world will tout it for everything from cancer prevention to who knows what else. The actual studies, which I will have sent to you in your description, the actual studies that I was able to find using my magical bowl here indicate a high amount of antioxidants, and that it has been found to be useful for fatigue. They did a bit of a cruel study with mammals where they caused them to have to swim and saw when they became exhausted. The mammals that had been fed this tea were exhausted later. It took them a long time to become fatigued. When their tissues were analyzed, it was found that those who had consumed this tea over a long period of time had increased angiogenesis. That's right, that does mean small blood vessel growth. Remember, things like diabetes and smoking and hypertension kill small vessel growth. So this is wonderful in that it seems to have the opposite effect. Now granted, this was in small mammals, which are not humans. Humans are not large mammals, but the study was not done on humans. So it is therefore quite difficult to tell if it's actually relevant to you. However, the limited evidence that we have does suggest increased antioxidants, flavonoids, and neurotransmitter balance, which might be useful for fatigue. Fascinating, no? So, we have our warm water here. I'm going to pour in our tea. It's a little bit loud. Fairies like me have very sensitive ears. And it's loose leaf tea. Isn't this lovely? It's handmade here in Korea, of course. Don't you love it? It's so pretty. So I'll just put this here on the side of the teacup. Oh, you seem to have dropped something, my dear. Oh, is that... Oh, is that... You haven't even had a chance to use what I brought you. What a pity. Alright. Now, put some of these loose leaves. Oh, these are large. These are much larger than I had anticipated. Let's help them out a little bit to fit in this little teacup bowl. Don't you love those sounds? Oh my goodness. How absolutely glorious. This might not be enough. Yes, Noni tea. Alright, my dear. Oh, sweetheart, let me just touch your hair here. Sorry, I don't mean to graze your forehead. You are sitting so far across the table. It's not necessary, is it? And we'll just let that steep. And while we let the Noni tea steep in the water, see, the little cup has holes in the bottom of it. It's a bit like a ceramic tea bag. And so it steeps and the water will turn green. Oh no, fairies don't use utensils. We use our fingers for everything. We like to have the full experience of the foods that we eat and the drinks that we drink. While this steeps, let me read you a story. So yes, would you like to, you want to know what the other kinds of tea we'll be talking about today? Alright. Well, the Noni tea is the first one. It's interesting because the Noni fruit is in the moringa family of trees, yes. Which, as you know, moringa is a fantastic antioxidant. Absolutely fabulous for aging. This is rose green tea. Obviously, you've already heard of the great benefits, the wonderful antioxidant benefits of roses. We talked about them. Of course, digestive benefits and so forth. And of course, green tea itself has wonderful properties as well. Isn't it lovely? Oh, you seem to have so many wounds on this leg. Did something happen to your nose, dear one? Oh my, I'm very sorry that you got so lost and ended up in that odd apocalyptic wasteland. Poor thing. Let me just touch your leg a little more. Hopefully it doesn't bother you. Oh, but you wanted to hear more about the Noni tea. You are so disorganized, oh dear. What am I to do with you? Let's see what I can divine. Well, it prevented bone loss in estrogen-deficient rats. That study was a bit poor quality. The abstract made a lot of claims that therefore it will be useful in humans. Humans and rats don't process estrogen exactly the same way, but still, it is cause for further study. This might be a good tea for women in menopause. Oh, have you been in menopause lately? I'm so sorry, sweetheart. No, there was only one clinical trial regarding cancer. There's a lovely, lovely review, though. I will include it in your description. That way, you will be able to further research on your own some of the other herbs that are being tested and investigated for cancer. It's difficult to do investigations on things like herbs because in many cases the properties of an herbal are all the chemicals in the leaf working together. They were designed that way for a purpose. But humans have a tendency to want to distill out only the one compound that we find the most useful. In the case of marijuana, THC. In the case of the willow bark, aspirin. When you all do that, though, often, while it does give you the power of being able to standardize your compounds, it doesn't necessarily work the same way. See? So there are a lot of challenges depending on where something grows. Oh, I love those sounds, don't you? I told you fairies are very sensitive to sound, my dear. We've spent 14 minutes talking only about the Noni. Oh, shame on us. But let's move on to the next tea. Let's try it. It has some similarities to green tea. Or the taste of moringa. I don't know if you've had moringa before, my dear. I think it could afford to be stronger. I will set aside those tea leaves for further use. Let us do our rose tea. Oh, what's it like? Why don't you taste, my dear? Here you are. That's your cup. Wonderful. You had it? Good. Let me bring my next cup. Oh yes, it's always good to have a cup full of water standing by. A cup full of water standing by. I really find it almost identical to green tea, to tell you the truth, with a little bit of a more... Do you get that kind of woodsy, jungly air to it? Like it's a little more unrefined, a little more free. Green tea always has a very stern and present flavor. That might be my stereotype of tea, of course. I love the roses on this box, don't you? Rose. It's lovely, and I guess my neck has gotten so thick from working out so much. I am the kind of queen who likes to be in the field with her subjects. We've been doing a lot of gardening to help the flowers grow on earth this year. That is our mandate from the divine. Oh, I know, you humans have so many complicated relationships with the divine. But we still remember our first mandate, which was to take care of creation. Something that you all are struggling with, I understand. Just like you're struggling with your relationship with the divine, all of you. Humans are very funny little creatures, you are. Oh, that's right, and you don't talk about religion or politics. That's right, that's right, that's right. Not without getting upset, right? So we won't. I want you to feel safe and relaxed. Oh, yes. We can't have you growing and learning. That would be absurd. Satire and sardonicism are gifts of my kind. Really only among the royals, though. Most fairies are so small that we can only feel one feeling at once. But those of us who have gained the ability to reach your stature and your height, your mass, have gained the ability, evolutionarily speaking, to have more than one emotion at a time. Satire and sarcasm, of course, requires multiple emotions at once. It's a bit of a kind of lie, isn't it? We like to play with it in the upper classes because it's something that we are new to, really. But honestly, it is a bit of a form. It is the lowest form of humor, isn't it? Not satire, sarcasm. Because it's essentially a lie over an emotion. Is it not? I know. I can be so controversial. I apologize. Controversy is not my game. Not my goal, anyway. Oh, you like that? Well, let me steep this tea and then we'll talk about it. Oh, you like the Noni tea? Good. Well, you can get it online. It's the wonderful thing about the internet. Of course, fairies have had the internet forever. We don't call it that. We call it magic. As many things. We've also been able to fly forever. It's just more advanced technology. It's not. We've spoken about this before. That magic and technology are the same thing. You can't let them rule your life. And there are some forms of technology, some forms of magic that are absolutely prohibited, that are dark. And not dark in the moonlight way, but dark in the evil way. Oh, absolutely. No, there's no pain here. No pain. What do you think? It's beautiful, isn't it? There's a little bit of magic in here. Just sprinkle that on you. Of course you can't see it, silly. Oh, that was a loud, unpleasant sound. Oh, I didn't like it. I'm glad you're enjoying your tea, my dear. This rose green tea is steeping. And we'll talk about the ratio of rose to green. You can make your own rose tea. It is something that I have done. Oh, I had the most lovely rose distilled wine. was grape wine, of course, but I used it to bring out the essence of the rose. Essentially, I boiled the rose in a little bit of the wine with some of that wonderful purple dead nettle from last time. Boiled them together, but didn't boil off all the wine or all the alcohol. Just enough to warm it and make sure that the essence is infused. And then I bottle it up tight and use it as a tincture for digestion. And I did. I put it over a lovely roast. What does a fairy roast? Well, when we're our normal size. Speaking of which, when I say classes, I don't mean to imply that some of us are better than other fairies. Some of us have, via certain merits and work, and sometimes talent, developed certain abilities that make us fit for rule, but it's always based on merit. And our greatest merit is love. The fairy with the greatest capacity for love is usually the one who is selected to rule. Usually selected by a vote of the universe. The local universe, of course, being the nearby flowers, the nearby streams, and the fairies. It's 50-50. It's not a democracy in your sense of it. We have different rules and needs, and we are much more similar to children, most of us, which would make a pure democracy a little bit... Are you familiar with the Lord of the Flies? As I said, we are usually so small we cannot have more than one emotion at a time. So, our emotions must be tempered with the flowers and the wind and the little streams. Would you like to hold my little peacock friend? He is from Korea, of course. You don't have to hold him if you don't want to. You can just sit here next to you. Oh, you want me to give it up the plant? Why? The plant bothers you. It's a succulent. We can move it. It's not a problem. Are you allergic, my dear? Oh, how strange. Yes, humans are not always exactly in touch with their environment in the same way that we are. Absolutely. Roasty. Oh, your poor knee. I just find pain so distracting, don't you? Oh yes, let's try this rose tea. A much, much stronger flavor than the Noni. The Noni, I would say, is even a little bit sweet, in the way that very diluted hibiscus can sometimes be considered sweet. I would say that the rose green has more of the green than the rose, and it brings out the bitterness in the rose. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This will be your next cup. Yes, of course. Well, thank you, my dear. What a lovely little fairy attendant. Oh, you couldn't see her. You didn't know she was a fairy. Well, this is for our next tea. Oh, my dear, this one already has a tea bag in it. No, we're going to try the corn tea next, the corn silk tea. I don't think my friend has had it yet. Thank you. I'll give this back to you. Thank you. I can keep the tea bag, that's not a problem. Here. I love this little plate. don't you? It is lovely to have a little tea party together, my dear. Oh, you wanted to see the marbling? Isn't it lovely? It just goes to show things don't have to be expensive to be lovely. That's something else that fairies are good at, that you all are not. Alright, new cup. New adventure. Quarantine. Oh, honey. There's still something in this cup. Oh, I'll drink it. That's not a problem. But I would like an empty cup at some point. For the quarantine. Thank you. Oh, that's spicy? What is that? Oh my. You won't be trying that. Thank you, my dear. Oh, thank you. Ah, brand new cup at last. Alright. Corn silk tea. This one is interesting. Let me remember. There's an ACE inhibitor peptide that's recently discovered in this tea. Corn. You all have a documentary in your world, King Corn. Corn is known to be unhealthy for humans. You all treat it like a vegetable when it's really not. It's really a grain, my dear. Vegetables are colorful. They're green and purple and blue. A blueberry you may not call a vegetable. Nutritionally, it is a fruit. But it has life in it. Corn is seeds. Corn is not a fruit. Corn is not a vegetable. It is seeds. And you all really shouldn't eat it as much as you do. And that's the problem with humans, is you have a tendency to monoculture, which is where you take one crop and you love it, and you love it so much that you grow more of that than of anything else. Very, very silly of you. I know your knee is just so distracting, my dear. But after I've touched it enough times, it'll get better. That's how touches work. I'm glad you're okay with it. You would tell me. Of course. Quarantine. However, despite all corn's negative impacts on your all's health, corn silk, it's the little fuzziest on top, does have some ACE inhibitors in it. This one is a Korean. See the Hangul? Hangul. You should look up the history of Hangul sometime. It has an amazing, magical letter system. Why do I say it's magical? Well, because Hangul, just saying it is magical, isn't it? The language, the letters, helped to free the Korean people, created a healthy nationalism that they didn't have when they were using the Chinese letters, created equality for women, because this was the script women were allowed to use. Oh yes, my dear. And this is the script. This is the script. Look up. What book was the first book written in Hangul? This is the script that brought the divine. Let us have some corn silk tea. ACE inhibitor peptides, why do they matter? Well, because, yes, I don't like the loud sounds this has a tendency to make. ACE inhibitors are used for high blood pressure, my dear. So this may have a blood pressure lowering effect. Granted, that wasn't tested in clinical trials on people. I hate opening packages. This may be important. Fairies are very good, similar to lovebirds, at wiggling ourselves into tiny spaces. But we are truly terrible at things that are designed for grown-ups, like packaging and bras. I have never heard of a fairy who wore a bra. Of course. I'm just opening it away from me. Sounds too loud. Listen to that tea. One of these. Oh, it's so big. That's what the fairy said. It's so big. What was that? Oh, that's only what she said. I don't know. Of course not. I don't know what you're talking about. Corn silk tea. Of course, sharing a cup is how fairies do. It's also a bit romantic. I love the smell of corn silk tea. Of course, I haven't let it steep at all. I'll give it a little time. But it smells like candy. I think that's why you humans can't stop eating corn. There's a sweetness to those seeds. There certainly is. Oh, of course not. Well, I'll just make it steep faster. A little bit of time magic isn't unreasonable. For you? No, it doesn't taste like cornflake milk. No, my dear. Ugh. Cornflakes, demon invention. Thank you, my dear. Oh yes, cornflakes are pure evil. That's not a medical opinion, that's just a spiritual fact. Cornflakes are evil, yes. I'm not going to go into the details. Oh. No, it's not just that I don't like cornflakes. I can't just say things I don't like are evil. Yes, I don't like cornflakes. But corn silk tea does remind me of them, but not in a gross, mushy, yucky, soggy way. There's just this sweetness. You know the sweetness in a not corn chowder, creamed corn. That sweetness. But without over the top and without all the cream and mushy and gushy stuff. It's similar to that, right? Yes, what do you think? Well, of course. Of course, of course, of course. Well, I think next we should try barley tea and jujube tea. I don't know if we'll have the time though. We'll make it happen. Oh yes, barley tea. Well, barley tea, also a lovely Korean invention. This one, I couldn't find very many medicinal studies. There is a study on Tibetan populations that really demonstrates how important the entire diet is. So, It featured heavily in pastoral tivetan diets in the study. And those people had less metabolic syndrome than people who were on urban diets, where they ate a lot of sweets and a lot of snacks and a lot of sugary drinks. But barley tea is what the people of the mountains drank instead. Barley tea. It really goes to show you can't look for a magic bullet. There isn't an herb that will magically make everything better. Unless we're talking about antibiotics and particular infections. But for chronic long-term issues, for overall health, you can't go on a sudden diet. You can't take one herb. You can't suddenly take a medication to make it all better. It's a lifestyle. It's becoming one with your body, one with the earth, one with what is healthy, what was intended for you. Right? And so barley tea as part of a wholesome diet. Because if you drink barley tea and have all your sodas at the same time, I don't know. There isn't a good study on if your barley tea will counteract the effects of your sodas, but I don't think that they will. I doubt it very much, my dear. Yes, I'm talking to the teapot. Talk to the teapot. Teapot. Talk. Let's try our hand. May I have a new cup? Thank you, my dear. Fantastic. My dear, you put a tea bag in it. Thank you. I'll keep the tea bag, it's fine. They're good for composting. You can use them for ice cream too. Thank you. Barley tea. So, there was another study I found. Some barley is susceptible to mycotoxins. Those are fungus toxins, similar to the ones that they grow in the Salem witch trial, and making people crazy. Because you didn't know. Well, like I said, science and magic go together. There were mycotoxins in the barley at the Salem witch trials. And so the women who said that there were spells on them and went into weird seizures during the trials and so forth, they likely had brain problems because of the mycotoxins. The trick is, of course, that the real witches were the women accusing everyone else. For that is what a witch is. A witch is someone who will use the technologies, social, electrical, mechanical, magical, as you might put it. Someone who will use those technologies to her advantage at the harm of others. That is what a witch actually is. That's the difference. Fairies use magic too. It's in how you use it. And of course what you use. There are some things you should never use. There's never an excuse for putting hemlock in someone's tea. That is a magic that is not allowed. However, there are certain poisonous plants that, when distilled appropriately, can be heart medications. So in the one case, that is a magic you must never ever do. You must never take a purple iris, put it in someone's food. That is dark magic. Why? Because it's poisonous. But light magic can be similar to dark magic. Why do I say the women who got everyone accused and killed were the real witches? It's very simple. They used the magic of female persuasion, of female hysteria, of social superstition and fear to control and harm others without lifting a finger themselves. Those women were so magically powerful they could point at people they didn't like, and suddenly those people would be killed. That is dark magic. Absolutely. This is the fan from my wedding. For real, my real wedding. That wedding. I still have it. So yes, sometimes barley may have mycotoxins in it. Just like sometimes your beef or your spinach might have E. coli in it. It's an old fan, so it doesn't fold quite the way I'd like it to. But it is a lovely fan nonetheless. Oh, you like this one here? This one. Oh, that. We'll talk about that then. I'm not sure if the tea people want us taking everything off of their walls, but this is a very old handmade antique fan. Do you see the little print? Do you see? That's the artist's seal. You might consider it some sort of certificate of authenticity. We shouldn't touch it too much because, as I said, it is an antique. These are Shang-Chi folk shadow figures from China. I'm butchering the name, of course. I wonder why they have it here in the tea shop here in Korea. Well, there's a lot of cultural exchange, of course. I don't know where it was. I've certainly messed everything up now. Everything's ruined. He looks like he's hiding behind there. He's coming out. I know, doesn't he look? He's wearing a hat similar to either a bridegroom or a minister. I don't remember my hats very well. Oh, my head is itchy. All the partying yesterday with the little wood mice. Sometimes they have bugs and critters. Oh, fairies are very hygienic. We take baths in the rain all the time. When it rains. You can't expect us to be exactly like you. I think our barley tea has seeped now. Oh, your little me. Little me. Little me, little me, little me. I like your little me. So yes, as a part of a healthy, complete diet. And barley tea is so... It tastes exactly like how you might expect. It's like if bread were a tea, but a good bread, not like soggy bread. These drinks, the corn tea and the barley tea, I find to be excellent substitutes for your sugary drinks because they still have that carbohydrate flair without the carbohydrate wear and tear. Do you like what I did there? Wear and tear. I'm going to talk to the coffee pot more. Carbohydrate wear and tear. Carbohydrate wear and tear. Oh, you like them? The baby fairies did them. You could put milk and stevia in. I wouldn't put sugar. You're just ruining it if you do that. Well, sugar's a bit of a blood plant now. If you buy your sugar from the Dominican Republic, a large portion of it has been earned on the back of Haitian prisoners and slaves. So, you know, stevia is a little better for your people and your environment. Sugarcane also is difficult to process, and I don't know. I wouldn't like to say any plant is bad, but certainly plants become cursed by the way that people use them. People have an impact on the environment around them. Of course you do, honey, every little thing you do, like a butterfly effect. Why do you think the rules in the Torah are so varied and strange? Like the rule about not chopping down a fruit tree to siege a city, or not taking both a bird and her baby when you're gathering food, one or the other, or not cooking a goat in its mother's milk. Every little thing you do has a balance in the universe. I know it's weird, some of the things that humans do. Next tea. I'm sorry, I know you all don't like to get philosophical. Humans prefer to keep things light. I think that light and darkness are both necessary. I don't just think that. I see that in the world around us, and heavy and light are both necessary. We need feathers just as much as we need mountains. As long as everything is breathed in love, it's alright. If you can be loved and I can be loved, even when we're wrong, that's the thing that's difficult. Because love also requires passion. Love requires becoming upset when things are bad, when things are hurting something you love. There's a natural... Humans don't like the word jealousy, but I mean jealousy in the sense that if somebody were trying to hurt your child, you would be jealous to protect them. That's how the word is used in Hebrew. Perhaps zealous is a better word for you. Yes. And so because of that, because there's a conflict between what we love and how we can show it, between loving your enemies and loving your friends, loving your enemies, loving your children, it can be difficult to know what is the most loving path, isn't it? It's tough. Sometimes the loving thing to do is almost the cruel thing. And sometimes it's very much the other way around, isn't it? I love this little... little thing. Alright, one more tea. Let's talk about Jujube tea. Thank you, my dear. Oh, I'll take out my own tea bag for this one. Oh, I didn't give you any. Well, you don't need the tea bag. You don't need to look at all the tea bags. Some people don't like that, and that's fine. Here you go. You got it? I wouldn't want you to drop it. Wonderful. Oh, thank you, my dear. You always bring me a little something. Fairies are not always good at cleaning up after ourselves. That's why wildflowers are so disorganized. Because we drop all the seeds while we're working on them. Humans are much better at organizing things than we are. And that's alright. We were both supposed to be taking care of the world together as an army. After all, Jujube tea. annoying. I think this is the symbol for tea, actually. Ocha in Japanese. Which is this circle. I'm not very good at tracing inside the walls. So Jujube, my dear, Jujube is fantastic. There was a complex study, quite confusing, about fermenting the plant and then seeing what kind of chemicals are released. They fermented it in human gut bacteria to see how symbiotically the human gut reacts with. But they used the Ziziphus spinosa species. The commonly used Jujube species is Ziziphus jujube, or Jujube. I'm sorry, I know this isn't pronounced Jujube. It's pronounced Jujube. But it looks like it should be pronounced Jujube, so I will pronounce it however I like, because I am the queen. The correct pronunciation is Jujube, of course. It's a little tea packet. Now this one, it's already been pulverized, so you can actually just mix it directly in. Kind of like a juice. Kind of like a little juice. The little brown crystals look like, I don't know, like lovely little shimmery grains. Look. Oh, it smells so fruity. It is a kind of fruit, of course. Can you see? I know it may just look like dirt to you, but I love how dirt looks. And just enough for a last cup. Anyway, they had some human gut bacteria ferment. Not ferment your leg, but you know what I mean. They fermented some Jujube, Ziziphus in it, and they found that this caused it to release some healthy phenols, antioxidants, and so forth. I think that's a good study because it illustrates the importance of your body working to digest things. If your gut biome is completely out of whack, which in the case of many patients with chronic pain, like fibromyalgia it is, if your gut biome is out of whack, it's difficult for you to process healthy anti-pain things like antioxidants and phenols. So having a healthy gut biome is important. Probiotics, prebiotics, and so forth. However, again, this was a study done not in real life, as in not in real people. It was done, they took the gut bacteria, they fermented some stuff, and they measured some compounds. That doesn't necessarily predict exactly how it's going to behave in your body. Because that's what clinical trials are. There was another similar experiment where they took the extract from Jujube and they put it into cancer cells, and the cancer cells died. It's fairly easy to poison cancer cells. There are certain cancers in the liver that can be killed by injecting alcohol into them. That's an actual surgical technique. They'll inject alcohol into it before cutting it out so that they can, it's easier. The question is, can you have the least invasive surgical procedure possible, of course. But anyway, so again, it doesn't necessarily prove that this is some kind of magical anti-cancer agent, especially if you have to get it to the cells directly. You're not going to be injecting tea into your liver. It is still promising, though, that when they put these chemical compounds on the liver cancer died and was inhibited. So, to consider, and for that reason, there are many people in traditional Chinese medicine who use Jujube as an anti-cancer medication or herb. Again, be careful because there aren't clinical trials to prove the use of this. You can't regulate it with the FDA. And it's so listen to your oncologist, listen to your cancer doctor. But it won't hurt to drink tea while you obey your cancer doctor. So, it's also used for fatigue. There was another neat study, and this is why it's important to report also on studies that find no benefit or no change. There was a study where they took various teas and put them on trichomonad, little parasites. Trichomonads are the little creatures that cause trichomoniasis in the downstairs areas. You know, after you've had a tryst and you experience an infection because perhaps it was an ill-advised tryst. Or perhaps something happened and it wasn't your fault. Regardless, it's complicated. Things are complicated. There are many reasons why somebody might accidentally contract an infection in the downstairs. And one of those infections is caused by a wiggly little organism called a trichomonad. And those little dudes don't like black tea. It kills them. Jujube didn't really do anything to them in that study. But black tea killed them. Interesting, isn't it? Jujube, in combination with 2 other compounds in a tea, improved sleep quality when taken over a month and reduced overall fatigue. So it might be if you have fatigue, there is evidence to incorporate it into your regimen. If you have cancer, listen to your oncologist. But consider consulting as well your traditional Chinese naturopath and incorporating that if you feel comfortable into your treatment. Again, please listen to your oncologist. They practice evidence-based medicine. There is no evidence right now, no clinical trial where you can just take Jujube and be cured of your cancer. Right. The only evidence is that it kills cancer cells when it touches them outside of the body. We don't know what happens in the body. Understood? So be careful when you read studies, because sometimes they'll be blown out of proportion. Someone will say, oh, this thing kills cancer. This is the cure to cancer. No, what it does is outside of the body, it killed some cancer cells. But you can also kill cancer cells outside of the body by dropping them on the floor. I'm not going to drop you on the floor to cure your cancer. Oh, I suppose if I dropped you hard enough, you would no longer be alive, and therefore your cancer wouldn't be a problem anymore. But you understand what I'm saying. You must be careful. You must be careful. Whom you trust. Don't even trust yourself. Lean not on your own understanding. There's that little verse. Always analyze. Look up new studies. Don't lean on anyone's understanding or anyone else's understanding. Always stand upright instead of leaning. Take many things into account. Trust in Hashem with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. Right. So, what I'm saying is, don't take all studies equally. But perhaps take some Jujube tea for your fatigue, for your sleep, and incorporate it into your healthy lifestyle, your healthy cancer prevention lifestyle. Because tomatoes, there is evidence, and they did a clinical trial on this. Men who ate tomatoes regularly had decreased incidence of prostate cancer. Yes. So, perhaps Jujube is similar. Perhaps lots of regular Jujube will be good in prevention. I'm gonna taste it. Oh, it's so sweet because it's a fruit. No, I'm not sharing with you. You should have to get your own. I'm kidding, you can have some. Of course. Of course. Well, I think that'll be all for today. What? What? I think that's all for today, right? Come back and visit me next time. We can stop by this same tea shop, or we can stop by my palace. Either way, we're a different place in the world. I'm gonna try 5 more herbals. Or 2, depending on how much time we have. This was quite long. And I know you were eager to get home. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, you need help? Of course I'll help you. Close your eyes, my dear. I'm going to direct you to the next physician, who will help you get back to where you need to go. Because of course we're in Korea. They will help you get to the next stop, so you can get back and be evaluated. Of course. Close your eyes.